The reply is 2 words long. No objection. You type it quickly, almost politely, just to keep things moving. Later, when the consequences show up, those same words are treated as if they carried weight you never felt when you sent them. That's the paradox. The smallest reply can do the most binding work. It often starts in a chain where everything already feels decided. A project update, a revised timeline, someone proposes a change and frames it as minor. The email is calm, reasonable, procedural. You scan it while doing something else. Nothing looks explosive. Nothing feels worth a long response, so you reply with something neutral. Not agreement, not enthusiasm, just an absence of resistance made visible. At the time, it feels like restraint. Later, it reads like consent. When the issue comes back, when deadlines tighten or responsibilities shift, the earlier exchange is pulled forward. Not the conversation you remember having in your head, the written one. The words you chose because they felt harmless now sit in the middle of a record that treats them as acknowledgement. The tone you thought was non-committal has been flattened into acceptance. A similar thing happens with shared responsibilities. A neighbor proposes a workaround, a committee circulates a plan, a group agrees to handle it this way for now. You don't want to be difficult, you don't want to reopen the discussion, you reply that you have no objection. What you're really saying is that you don't want the friction of pushing back. What the record hears is something else entirely. It hears that the boundary wasn't contested. Later, when something goes wrong, the earlier message is no longer casual. It becomes the moment where alignment was recorded. The difference between "I didn't mind at the time" and "I never agreed to this" collapses into a single sentence that didn't leave room for either distinction. Then there's the version that happens under pressure. A policy update, a procedural change, a document circulated for comment. You don't have time to read it properly. You assume the important parts would be flagged. When asked for confirmation, you reply that you have no objection. You mean it provisionally, temporarily, subject to everything you haven't checked yet. But writing doesn't preserve provisional states, it preserves positions. When that change is later enforced, the reply resurfaces. The words don't show hesitation. They don't show speed or distraction or overload. They just sit there, clean and simple. And when the question becomes whether the obligation was contested, the record already has its answer. What makes this unsettling isn't that the system is sneaky, it's that it's literal. Written exchanges don't weigh intention, they weigh expression. And when the only visible expression is acquiescence, however mild, it fills the space where objection would have lived. The mechanism underneath all of this is quiet and blunt. Obligations don't always form through negotiation. Sometimes they form through the absence of resistance at the moment the record is created, especially when that absence is written down in your own words. The discomfort comes from recognizing who this catches, not the careless, the cooperative, the people who value smoothness, the ones who believe neutrality keeps options open. On the page, neutrality doesn't hover, it settles. The final paradox is this. The part of you that tries to be easy to work with is the same part that signs things without realizing, and by the time you feel the obligation, the record already shows you said there was none.